the end of the day, it's not just about reaching your goals. It's about living with purpose. It's about aligning everything you do with a deeper meaning, a reason to get out of bed every day and give your best. When your actions are driven by a powerful sense of purpose, your motivation becomes unstoppable. You'll wake up every morning on fire, ready to attack the day with everything you've got. This is the winner's mentality. It's not a one-time thing. It's a way of living, a way of thinking, a way of thinking, a way of being. And if you choose to embrace it, nothing can stop you from achieving your dreams. And so right here, right now, make the decision. Commit to it. Because you're not just capable of success, you're destined for it. And it starts today. Belief in yourself is the foundation upon which everything else is built. Without it, no amount of skill, talent, or opportunity will carry you as far as you want to go. The truth is, self-belief is the single most important factor in determining your success. If you don't believe you can achieve something, you will never take the actions necessary to make it happen. And if you don't take action, you will never give yourself the chance to prove what you're capable of. Self-belief is not about arrogance or thinking you are better than others. It's about knowing that you are enough. It's about...
Woo! Rise and shine, dreamers. Another blessed and grateful day. Happy Wednesday. Hope everyone's had a phenomenal start to the AM. You know, we had to kick it off with a little bit of Tony to get the day rocking and rolling. And I'm actually taking another piece of his trainings today. Today, we're going to be getting into the 5 senses of the soul. I love this training. I've been diving deep into this one for years. This is honestly one of my favorites of all time because this is something that applies to somebody brand new or anybody winning and succeeding at the highest level. So no further ado, let's go ahead and get into it today, fam. We got a packed out schedule coming into the week. I'm telling you, stay tuned in the chats. We've got some huge announcements coming in, and it's 7 p.m. You don't want to miss tonight's training. So make sure you grab the link, put it out in the chats, and put it out to your team because this is going to set the tone coming into wrap up Q4. So here we go, fam. Let's go ahead and get into it in the 5 senses of the soul. And as always, before we go ahead and get started, what is everyone grateful for coming into today? Let me know. Let's flood the chats. And today's going to be a good one. Here we go. The 5 senses of the soul. Bang. Love it, love it. IG. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. It's good to see everybody. Hope you had a great start to the morning. We've already got the walk-in, little bit of yoga, got in the journaling, manifesting clear intentions coming in for the rest of the week, the rest of the month, and wrapping up December. And I'm telling you, this year is flying by. And before we know it, 2025 has begun. So a lot to be grateful for, grateful to be alive, grateful for God. So thankful for each and every one of you. I do not take this community for granted. All of the wins, the testimonials, the energy, it stews up the pot. It really collectively brings the fire. So it's amazing to see every morning. Ivor Sebs, what is going on? Stay tuned. This is going to be a training you don't want to miss. You ready? All right, fam, let's get into it. Today, we're touching on the 5 senses of the soul. And again, I do not care what level anybody is at inside of their industry. This is something that every one of us gets the opportunity to go ahead and really master these 5 senses. Okay, so we all know the typical 5 senses, right? Seeing, hear, touch, smell. Well, today, I'm going to give it to you in a little bit different of a light. So stay tuned. And actually, matter of fact, I'm going to go live on Facebook because I think Facebook is definitely going to get huge piece of this too. So let me get them on here. The 5 senses. Love it. Boom. All right, so fam, who can give me a guess what number 1 is? If you were to take a guess, what do you think is the first sense of the soul? What do you guys think? Who can go ahead and kick it off? Close. Nice. All right, so here we go. The first one is going to be the mind, okay? When we're talking about really seeing success, success is obviously spiritual and success is definitely physical as well. And today we're going to be getting into the spiritual side of success for the 5 senses. So number 1 is going to be understanding that we're spiritual beings, right? but we're having a physical experience. I truly believe that. This is nothing but our shell, and the spiritual side is really what creates everything. But we got to know how to be able to tap into it. And unconscious competence states that we don't know what we don't know. And if we don't know about the five senses of the soul, it's going to be very difficult to be able to work with them. So number one is the mind, okay? The mind is the element that enables a person to be aware of the world and of their experiences, to be able to think and feel with conscious thought, right? This is huge. So the mind, think about it like this, is literally like an extraordinary garden. And inside of this garden, whatever it is that we plant, that's what we're going to be able to harvest inside of our life. And this is why, again, it's so important to pay attention, because what it is that we're learning, believe it or not, we're going to be able to earn in. That's why, going to school, this blew my mind when I learned this. We learn to be a doctor, we can earn as a doctor. We learn as a lawyer, we can earn as a lawyer. We learn to be an entrepreneur, we can go ahead and earn limitless income, right? Just by being conscious of planting the right seeds into our soil. So this is key. It took me a long time to really understand and become aware of this, but once it started to click, everything started to change, because the soul needs this. We need to go out and get the right information. We need new ideas. We need to be able to think outside of the box. And again, this is one of the biggest keys I got out of college. If being smart was one of the biggest keys to becoming a millionaire, then that means everybody who got a bachelor's or a master's degree would be a millionaire. We all know that's not true. And if it was about working super hard, then we would know every construction worker would probably be a millionaire too. So if it's not about working super hard, and if it's not about working super smart, then what's it about? It's about getting access to the right information and tapping in with these principles and laws, right? So that's going to be number one. The mind is the key. Think about it, the key to the soul, right? Number two is going to be will. Our will is a fixed and persistent intent or purpose, right? Think about it like this. The will is not for the weak. It is for the willing. I've seen so many along this journey. The reason why many seem to quote unquote fail, and I say that with parentheses because there's only two ways this works. You either quit or we succeed. So those that have happened to quit, you know what I noticed? I noticed that the reason why is maybe because they lacked willpower. They struggled to stay consistent with their morning routine. They struggled to stay consistent in the chats, asking questions, going to the events, investing back into themselves. And I know what that's like because I've been there. I've been the one that didn't have the highest willingness to learn at one point. And I noticed how much changed when I became willing to actually do different things. To me, I was not good at journaling. In fact, I was terrible at journaling. It was literally one of my biggest weaknesses. I didn't know what to write about. I didn't know how to put my thoughts on paper. I didn't know how to really visualize and get clear and intentional on the spiritual side. But now, if you see today, this is literally one of my favorite things. I love journaling. I've been doing it over 850 days now because I understand the spiritual side of success. Things happen spiritually before they happen physically. So we have to have a willingness to keep showing up even after most people have stepped down. This is why they say the crowd is crowded at the bottom, because there's so many people at the bottom that are not willing to do that little extra. What's so interesting when you look at the word extraordinary and ordinary? That's all it is. Anybody that you see is quote unquote extraordinary. Well, here's the difference. They're just doing that little bit extra. They're a little bit more consistent. They're a little bit more passionate. They're a little bit more on point with their schedule. That's it. It's not a crazy, huge difference. It's just that little extra compounded over time adds up. Okay. Number three is going to be the emotions. Okay. The emotions. When we're talking about getting out of the crowd at the bottom, there might be people at the bottom of the crowd that don't believe in us. It could be close people, friends, family, people are inner circle. And I can tell you right now, most of the time, we're going to make more impact with people that we don't know than people that we actually do know, because it takes strangers to celebrate us oftentimes before our friends come back and support us. And that's just the way it works. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3 is going to be the emotions. We really have to understand that when we let the outside reflect on the inside, we're always going to be submitted to the external world. Think about it. If something happens today in the external world and we let that influence the internal world, well, guess what? We don't have control. We don't, Jose, what's going on, my brother? We don't have any control in our life if we're letting the outside, the external world dictate the internal. You see? Imagine if, God forbid, we're driving today and our tire goes flat. You see, person A might get very upset. They're miserable the whole rest of the day. Person B, they said, you know what? Thank God. Because that flat tire could have stopped me from getting in a car crash 1.5 miles down the road. You see? It's the same problem for both people, but it's 2 different perspectives. It's 2 completely different emotions. And the same thing happens with every area of our life. The way that we see things, the way that we have our perspective is everything. Somebody doesn't see your vision. You put out a video and it doesn't go viral. You seem like you're throwing all of these events and nobody is showing up. I can tell you right now, our emotions are a point of our distraction. So if our frequency, if our normal emotions and frequency is nobody joins my business, nobody sees my vision, nobody is growing and stretching like me, well, guess what? That normal is going to continue to perpetuate. We're going to keep attracting those same situations, people, and opportunities. But watch how simple the shift is. What happens when we start stepping into every day instead of what if things go wrong? How about, I wonder what happens when things go right? What does life look like? QLQ, quantum linguistic question. I wonder what life looks like when I step into, say it out loud with me. I wonder what life looks like when I step into the highest version of myself. I wonder what life looks like when I get out and I get bold today, when I do something that makes me nervous. What does life look like then? You see? Let's start going with the I wonders and let's stop looking at the what ifs. You see, the what if is sitting in lack. The I wonder, now we're sitting in abundance. We can all talk about the what ifs all day long. You see, when I joined my business, when I launched years ago, even till this day, I always had excuses. I came in my first business, 30K in debt, living out of my car, had no job. I had every reason to be emotional, to say, I can't be successful. I'm never going to be able to make this happen for myself, for my family. But you know what I had to do? I had to become it before it happened. I had to become being able to see myself traveling, impacting lives, giving back, being of service. And this is why every day that I end my call, I say, let's be, do, and have. Because we got to become that individual first. You see, it doesn't work the opposite way. We don't get the money and then become that individual and then be able to go ahead and have this time freedom. It takes becoming it first. We become it, then we do the action with that feeling, and then we can have all of these abundant things, right? So remember that today. How can we sit in the feeling before the magic even happens? Before the bank account changes, before all these amazing relationships come, before maybe we get a new car we're sitting in. And my car used to be leaking every freaking time it rained. And I kept telling myself, it's only a matter of time. Okay. So number 3, emotions is huge. I'm telling you right now, emotions is going to dictate our destiny by how we react or how we respond. Okay. So 4, I've got 2 more. Stick with me. We're almost done. 4 is going to be the imagination. Do you all know what separates animals and humans? Who knows? Who knows one of the main separator that differentiates animals and humans? I'll give it to you. You ready? Right here. It's the imagination. That's it. You see, a lion cannot visualize him going out and attacking a deer, an antelope. He can't visualize that. He can only move off of instinct. But you see, a human, we can drive past an empty lot. And one person might see an empty lot. One person might be able to see, dream, and build their dream home. Somebody might see an acorn, but you see the second person, they might see a forest, but they can see what that acorn can grow up, become, and then go and produce with its fruit. So the question is, we all can use our imagination. The problem is we use it to the wrong side. Write this down. This is called nexting. Okay. This is a phenomenon that every one of us uses. It's called nexting. And the best way that I can explain it to you is like a hurricane, right? We're all in Florida. Think about when they draw a hurricane tracker, how we can kind of see a track of where the potential path could lead to. Well, you see, a lot of us, we do that with our lives. But the problem is we next some of the next situations as maybe something that's going to be negative, as maybe something that's not going to work out in our favor, as maybe something that we're not going to be able to become better than yesterday. You see, we next all of these situations ahead of time, and we don't even give ourselves a chance before it even happens. But what if we could next that situation the complete opposite way? What if we could see that phone call become successful? What if we could see ourselves changing not just their lives, their family, but their kids? What if we could see ourselves going out and throwing an event today, and that one person that shows up changes their entire life? You see, we all can use our imagination. It just takes being able to utilize it in the right way. Can you see yourself on stage? Can you see your mother calling you and thanking you for all the amazing things that you've done, or maybe a loved one? Can you see that sickness being alleviated from your body? Imagination, I'm telling you, is so powerful. Okay. Next one, last but not least, stick with me. I'm almost done. 5 is going to be intellect. You ready? The 5th sense of the soul is called intellect. You're like, all right, D, what the heck is intellect? Put it in a little bit of context for me. Okay. Intellect is really simple. You see, what makes intellect very powerful is the difference between knowing and doing. Being able to take that info and apply it. Bob Proctor said that's one of the biggest gaps for most people. A lot of people know, very people bridge the gap and actually do it. Again, we know how to get a 6-pack. We know how to go ahead and maybe find mentorship. There's a ton of it online, but how many actually bridge the gap and take action? Invest that money into themselves. Y'all never forget it. When I learned this years ago, I said, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get to the next level. And my mentor said, D, what do you have in your life that's not giving you any value? Sold my TV, sold my Xbox. I knew I needed to get to the next level with mentorship, but for a long time, I wasn't willing to do the actions that it took to get there. I kept giving all the excuses. I'm broke. I don't have the money. I'm not ready to invest. And you know what? Made it happen. Sold my TV, sold the Xbox to go ahead and get myself going. And that's the difference. There's a lot of people that know the information. Very few people do. So that's my training for everybody today. Just to go ahead and touch on again really fast the 5 senses on the soul and how we utilize them every single day. And you maybe didn't even notice it, but subconsciously, we've been priming you all to go ahead and go through these 5 senses. You ready? Number 1, every day we show up and we pour into our mind with these calls, with these trainings, and with these Zooms. So we're working on the mind every day. Number 2, we show up to these calls. Guess what that is? That's willpower. Maybe some of you are working. Maybe some of you are at the gym when these calls happen, but we show up and we make it happen. So drop some 222s down below for yourself. And number 3, we feel good on this call. And guess what we do every single morning? We express gratitude. We express wins. We express testimonies. And that creates the feeling. That's the emotions. That's number 3. Number 4, we visualize before every single call. You notice how I play a motivation and inspiration to kind of get the gears turning, how I give analogies every single call to visualize a more inspiring piece of life. Number 5 is going to be we take this info and we apply it. Those that have applied the information on these calls, the Zooms with our mentors, have seen some insane results, just like all of you on here. I've seen all of you succeed in many different areas. And this is why. Because you didn't just listen to this information. You weren't just willing to take it in. We are willing to go ahead and take action. And that's why we're seeing so much abundance. So family, that is my training on the 5 senses to the soul. I hope you got a little piece of value. If so, drop some 555s down for yourself. If you're ready to go ahead and implement these, take massive action, and maximize Q4 to the highest level. So family, I love you guys. I appreciate you. You already know I'm here for you. Let's go out and be, do, and have anything we can hold in our mind. We can hold it right here in our hand. It's game time. Let's finish out the year strong. Let's go.